Hey, check, check. Mic testing, mic check. So I just decided I want to watch some more TikToks because you know what, guys? TikTok is banned in our country for I have no idea why. Why would they ban TikTok in India? Why would they do that? Isn't it exactly like Instagram? What was TikTok doing that was so bad that India wanted to ban it? And at the same time, they have Instagram running rampant in everybody's lives. Like, I will never understand what's going on. So anyway, let's get to it. Let's get started. Let's get relaxed and chill out and enjoy some uh, TikToks that are banned in some countries and might probably get banned in America too. And then we'll have nothing basically. This is the only way I can have my fill of crazy conspiracy TikToks. And it's like it's a boring world filled with wannabe posers and wannabe Insta models on Instagram, and everywhere you look in India, there's just people wasting time, man. Wasting time just showing their ass or showing the new restaurant they went to or that new nightclub, and food everywhere, food. I ate this, I drank that every day, bro. That's all we Indians get. That's all that we Indians get to watch. Food and some restaurant and some more trash junk food. And so yeah, man, this is we are missing all of this. Like literally every single video that I will react to here, we are totally oblivious. We have no idea this is going on.
Right in front of our own motherfucking face. And the nigga knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know.
These will be my final show. This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is
I need
it.
an ambulance as soon as possible. He's not breathing.
Today, we're going to be reacting to the scariest
Oh my
TikToks you
god,
should
bro,
not
I
watch
don't need to
alone
see
that you
people's
do not wanna miss.
faces. Just get to the videos, man.
History that will make you say, what the f? In the 1950s, the United States government conducted a series of covert experiments under the code name MK Ultra. The aim, mind control. Through the use of drugs, psychological torture, and even hypnosis.
I'm really sorry, Sean. I'm really sorry. I'm like reacting. Why am I sorry? Like, aren't you reacting to other people's videos? And so people like Sean over here, right? They are reacting to TikTok. What's their plus point? Like, why does he have? Okay, he's not a big YouTuber, but he's got the biggest collections, bro. Like, this is a 2 hour long video. How did he? Where does he find these TikToks from? Like, does somebody sit and make compilations? Where can I find these compilations? Somebody sitting and compiling all these videos? Where can I find it, bro? Where can I find your compilations or anybody who's making compilations for you?
Innocent individuals became unwitting subjects in a twisted quest for power. And what about the dark days of World War II? The Nazis, driven by their twisted ideology, conducted gruesome experiments on human subjects. From freezing victims to chilling experiments to horrific medical procedures, the atrocities committed in the name of science will forever haunt our collective memory. Let's journey back to the 16th century, where the madness of the witch trials reigned supreme. Fear and paranoia gripped Salem, Massachusetts, as innocent women were accused of practicing witchcraft. The consequences? Public torture and an unfathomable number of lives lost. These are just glimpses into the disturbing depths of history, where the unthinkable became reality.
Now, I'm sure by now, most of you have seen this photo flying around social media. It is a picture of the last
You know what I'm going to do?
Neanderthal.
I'm going to, on the side, I'm going to open my Instagram account. And I do follow some really cool, really cool creators.
And this Neanderthal was from the Netherlands.
Neanderthal. How is he a
There's so
Neanderthal,
much to
bro?
our history that we do not know.
How is he a Neanderthal?
But trust me, all will be
Bigelow puts up cameras all over the property.
Okay.
And you had them focused here where some activity had happened before. The thing moves over here. You move the cameras and focus there, it goes away. Toward the end of the study, one of these cameras would rip to shreds. They're up on top of a telephone pole, 30, 40 feet in the air. And there's wires that are secured all the way down the telephone pole. And they notice that one of their cameras goes out. They figure, well, there's another camera on another pole that should have a view of whatever it was that tore this up. Well, whatever it was invisible.
Honestly, even if this is fake, there's been plenty of proof of extraterrestrial and alien life. It wouldn't be surprising if there was something like this going on and nobody really knew about it.
What? No way. No way. How does this guy get all these TikToks? Where does he get them from, bro? Where do you get all your TikToks from, bro? Is somebody say, or does he spend watching? Yeah, he probably spends like his whole day watching them, doesn't he? More shadow people. These could be just fake images, bro.
Mythical creatures caught on camera.
This could be just fake. Okay, I'm just gonna relax for like 5 minutes until I open up my Instagram and find similar creepy videos to react to. Let's see. This is just a rehearsal and a trial run. And I'm trying to see how my video setup works out.
UFO
I can
getting transported
get a
back into
consistent
Area 51.
rhythm going, I guess.
What I will say is that one particular party, lots of big names, there was an artist there who said, hey, Lecrae, around 1 a.m., make sure you're not here. You just don't want to be here at 1 in the morning. Now, my pride kicked in like, yo, you don't know me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can handle myself. Like, I'm not some little church boy who ain't never seen nothing. Like, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what you talking about? Well, it's probably 12:30. I'm downstairs. I go downstairs to the studio. I come up out the studio. The music changed. It was like really hard and heavy at first. And then, you know, like, and on my way upstairs, there's like this couch. And on the couch, I saw a couple of guys really going at it hard and heavy, man. And I was like, oh, as I started moving upstairs, I passed them up and I noticed that it wasn't just those two guys. It was more and more people just going at it. But at this particular party, Brandon T came up to me and he said, yo, man, like Satan will steal your soul in this industry, bro. And he was really like, he's like, I love your soul and your spirit and I want you to thrive, Craig. I don't want you to get devoured out here. And I just appreciated that because for him, he was like, he has seen some detriments and some of the dark side of things.
I am a time traveler from 2050. I'm Paul Luter, and here is what will happen in the next 27 years. Watch until the end, and I will tell you something proving I am not lying. In 2024, a new virus called Ecro will be discovered in the United States, and the entire world will slowly be sent into a new pandemic lockdown, similar to the one that took place during COVID-19. As time passes, basic resources will become harder and harder to find, and a famine will start. The new disease will last until 2027. And during those 3 years, over 100 million people will pass away. In March 2027, Apple will launch their own cars, which will be the first vehicles capable of flying. Only a few months later in June, Tesla will launch their own flying cars, which will be better than...
They say the AI singularity is going to hit in 2027. That's what everybody's like predicting. Yeah, it's going to be so fast. Everything's accelerating so fast in the world of AI that 2027, everybody's talking about 2027 as the year when AI super intelligence or whatever you want to call it will be totally taking over, replacing everything that we do to as work to earn money. I'll be honest, I'll be very happy if that happens and nobody has to go to work or go to office and like say yes boss, yes sir, yes boss, okay, I'll do that. Like, imagine people do that for like 40-50 years of their lives, like okay, yeah, okay, not 50, let's say 40 years, and then they retire with some like I don't know what people get. Is there any kind of sense of fulfillment with that, like where you waste your life working for some corporate landlord guy who's just sitting there like a landlord, not doing anything, earning money when other people's are working. I mean, his employees are working. His employees are fighting with their own family members, missing dates, missing gathering reunions, and like, whereas these clowns sitting on their corporate fucking offices, no, not even offices, they're just ordering people on the phone, just do this, do that, and then while they are enjoying each and every day with their families and like with their friends and going out, enjoying the best places, food, 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 and then the employees are like sitting the whole life for 40 years working every single day with 2 weeks of like leave in the whole year. And in those 2 weeks, how are they going to plan and account for everybody's timings with their family or their own well-being, their own physical, mental health? Yeah, so 2 weeks in 52 weeks of the year, they get something. And that's also a big if. Like a lot of these companies just decide that they're not going to give an F about Saturdays or weekdays or like all of that. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man, at this time. Start,
ones
bro.
Apple released.
Why is
In
my computer
2042,
betraying me
all
like
the
this?
governments will come together and form a single world order. And finally, in 2050, GTA 6 still has not been released. Subscribe for part 2 with more shocking revelations.
Honestly, as much as this video just seems like some nonsense, it doesn't seem too far from reality. But we just had a recent pandemic, and wouldn't be surprising if another one came around. So y'all just stay safe, stay blessed, and stay away from all that negative stuff. We'll see what happens.
Creepy facts about Marilyn Monroe. Her body went missing for 6 hours.
I don't care about Marilyn Monroe.
Hauntings. City. I found a room on Craigslist in a house shared with one other occupant. My new roommate Joel was a reclusive stoner type. As I got to know him, I learned that he was an enthusiastic believer in conspiracy theories and supernatural occurrences. We'd often
That's a lot of gaslighting in like two sentences. Reclusive stoner. And he's into conspiracy theories and man, extreme stuff. Like, oh my god, he was such a.
Often share a joint while he told me about hauntings, black holes passing through the earth, chemtrails, and that sort of stuff. I'd listen and humor him, but considered it to be mostly nonsense. One day, he showed me an online discussion where several people had reported a similar experience. They recalled nights when an ice cream truck had driven through their neighborhood playing a strange jingle. It would come on very late when the streets were empty, and those who spotted the truck from their windows recalled feeling very afraid. And the eerie song was said to have caused recurring nightmares. The community had dubbed them Midnight Ice Cream Trucks, abbreviated as MICTs. The reports came from several locations in the US, and one user had made a graph which linked the sightings to areas with unusually high numbers of missing persons. I responded with my usual skepticism, but Joel insisted on showing me one more thing, a link to a sound file. It was supposedly the jingle that MICTs would play when they drove about. The tune was strange and chaotic, with a churning rhythm and frantic melody that didn't seem to make any musical sense. It also seemed that there were other sounds behind the notes that couldn't quite be deciphered. Slightly uneasy feeling, which also made me feel stupid for getting sucked in. I told Joel that like other such reports, these were extraordinary claims with very little evidence. The following day, I found the jingle from the recording had gotten stuck in my head. Despite only having heard it for a few seconds, it would come into my mind frequently during periods of silence. I wondered if the strange tune had been deliberately engineered to have this type of earworm effect. Perhaps it had been produced as an advanced hoax or viral marketing campaign. If so, it was very effective. I soon began to experience instances where I actually heard the jingle. The first time it happened, I was in the car listening to the radio. Without warning, the discordant tune came on. My heart skipped a beat before I realized I was just hearing the intro to Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys, which has a charming music box style to it. I felt very stupid, but also conflicted. I could have sworn I'd heard the jingle briefly, but it was much more plausible than I'd imagined it. At least it seemed that way until the same thing occurred 3 more times. I heard the jingle when turning on the TV, in the background at a 7-Eleven, and from the stereo of a passing car. Thing is, it never lasted long enough to be certain I'd truly heard it. After 2 days of this, I was feeling legitimately bothered and wanted an explanation. Could the tune have been part of a radio single, and I'd only recognized the one segment? Something from a
Radio
movie
single.
soundtrack or commercial, it seemed doubtful. The song was unharmonious and barely even resembled music. The possibility that I was hallucinating was a real concern. Was I suffering a decline in mental health? I'd have considered school stress a factor, but spring break had just started, so this was also unlikely. I couldn't think of any root cause beyond the sound clip itself. Skeptical as I was of the MICT story, the audio recording seemed to have messed with my head. I began keeping my earbuds in during times of quiet, using music to keep the jingle out of my thoughts.
That's a
This
very
was
long,
frankly
drawn,
embarrassing. I
boring.
hoped to shake this condition without having to explain
Very
it to anyone
boring.
else. That night, I heard the song outside my house.
Boring! Boring!
Okay, so what they're saying here is that they found a jinn in a cave. A jinn, also known as a djinn, a genie, these are invisible creatures in early religion. In pre-Islamic
Why is it visible then?
snakes and dogs. When you was so terrified, the men went down in a cave, and after they went down in the cave, they did some weird voodoo magic shit where he picked up some dust and blew it in a guy's face with this
murder right in front of our own motherfucking face. And the nigga knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know.
These will be my final show. This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is it. I mean, this is really... And...
He's on the bed. Okay, let's get him on the floor. The doctor's been the only one here.
They could have told me a heart attack. They could have told me he had fallen off a ladder.
Okay.
From the bottom of my
Man,
heart.
this is like
Follow
2
for more.
hours long, man. How much do these
Just
people
gotta-
watch? How much can these people watch? That's like 2 hours long it was, man. And this guy just sat and watched the whole thing. He probably watched like 10 hours of it. Weird videos that will keep you up all night. Whistleblower. 10 scary videos. Are you a big baby? Nukes top 5. End time productions. Where I just want a compilation of all the, but I won't get them, I guess. I won't be getting them. I'll keep you up all 20. A huevo. Security is an illusion. Mod trigger, business of Grand Theft Auto. Everybody's doing reaction videos, man. Every single person is doing reaction videos. So, and even I want to do that, obviously, but how do these people consistently keep... They get suggested by people, and the people share them with their friends, share them. But this guy does 2-hour-long videos, bro. This guy does 2-hour... Andrew Tate versus therapist. Pity everybody. No. Oh, man. Why? $69 creepy TikTok, 50 creepy TikTok videos. Ultra terrestrial theories. This video was built on this why you never play with God. It's just music. This is my favorite documentary of all time, man. I mean, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's my favorite documentary of all time. Because of the soundtrack. The soundtrack is so good, just check that out, guys. It's unbelievable. It's in HD! Amazing. Amaze balls. But the soundtrack is so good, and this is all fake shit, right? It's like nothing, like there isn't a space
Freedom is a
vacuum.
heavy load, a great, strange burden for the spirit to undertake. It is not easy. It is not a gift given, but a choice made, and the choice made may be a hard one. The road goes upwards towards the light, but the laden traveler may never reach the end of it. Man approaches the unattainable truth through a succession of errors. Affliction comes to us, not to make us sad but sober, not to make us sorry but wise.
But how many, bro, before you wise up? How many
You'll be required
afflictions?
to do wrong no matter where you go. It is the basic condition of life to be required to violate your own identity.
That's harsh.
At some point, every creature which lives must do so. It is the ultimate shadow, the defeat of creation. This is the curse at work, the curse that feeds on all life, everywhere in the universe.
You might be right, though.
The gravest error a thinking person can make is to believe that one particular version of history is absolute fact. History is recorded by a series of observers, none of whom are impartial. It is change, continuing change, inevitable change that is the dominant factor in society today. No sensible decision can be made any longer without taking into account not only the world as it is, but the world as it will be. The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Each generation imagines itself to be more intelligent than the one that went before it, and wiser than the one that came after it. Man is the unnatural animal, the rebel child of nature, and more does he turn himself against the harsh and fitful hand that reared him. It doesn't matter what you do, so as long as you change something from the way it was before you touched it into something that's like you after you take your hands away. The very concept of truth is fading out of this world, and lies will pass into history. Solitude, isolation are painful things and beyond human endurance.
All this
small creatures
fake space programming, man.
Is bearable.
So much space programming, bro. Oh, it's such a well-made documentary, bro. And this is full-blown conspiracy away. Like fully blown up conspiracy, and it's so much that it is totally controlled opposition. This is total controlled opposition. See, look at this guy. He's controlled opposition. All of that nuclear energy and all of this is just these are like models. Like these are small models. I'm just kidding. They look real. But it still looks like a small scale model kind of the atomic clock. There's no so all of this, the atoms and electrons, and it's all unproven. They have no proof of any of this. Did you know that they don't know what electrons really look like or are, and yet they want to make guesses? Oh, it's a informed guess that they're making, and they want to shape your entire worldview and life and everything based on the guesswork that they came up with.
He was speaking from an informed perspective. In the ancient Hindu text, the Bhagavad Gita, there is a reference to a bolt of iron charged with the light of 1,000 suns. It describes radiation sickness. It describes elephants screaming and dying. It describes the shadows that are left on the ground after the blast goes off.
Best soundtrack for a documentary ever.
In the nuclear age. The same culture that described what appeared to be the use of a modern nuclear weapon also was describing things like anti-gravity craft that flew through the air with no sound called Vimanas. These craft could pass right through a mountain, and they also used some sort of particle beam weapons. You have human-looking beings that are larger than the rest of us and have blue skin, like Krishna, and they also have extraordinary abilities. And in addition to that, you have weird reptilian beings called Rakshasas, who are also codenamed snakes. And these beings clearly appear to be of a reptilian nature. This even goes to the point that you still to this day have temples in India in which there are people called Nagas who have a human-like top, but then from the waist down, they literally have a snake's body. All of this stuff takes on a much different investigative hue once we look at the fact that the actual record of what we now know a nuclear bomb looks and acts like is dutifully recorded in these Hindu scriptures. So
Anyway, it's
Oppenheimer
enough
was
of
aware
this.
that this weapon unleashed a
Enough of this full-blown
fury unlike
conspiracy
anything we'd
video.
ever seen before. Prior to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the scientists were the rock stars. Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, Marconi, Tesla.
I'm just gonna trip on
These
this
were the
documentary
rock
for a while
stars.
because
These were
it's
the
so
people
cool.
who made our lives so exciting that we went from essentially a primitive
The
situation.
soundtrack is so
In order
good.
to have food preserved, we have to have an ice box where literally pieces of ice are covered with sawdust, to now we have electric refrigerators.
Every
electric
conspiracy
lights so we
documentary
can
should have
read
this
at night.
soundtrack.
We have thoughts being beamed wirelessly by radio, and then eventually even pictures through television. This was so exciting. People could travel, transcontinental railroad. All these things were coming out that had never happened before. The private automobile without the need for horses. And then all of a sudden, the nuclear explosion shows that technology hit a screaming brick wall. We could not trust any longer that our toys would be the instruments of our enlightenment. They could actually be the instruments of our destruction.
Exploding these nuclear weapons ended up basically acting as beacons to a number of ET races in our general area. The primary energy pulse that occurs in one of these explosions sends an energy that feeds back through the fabric.
This is quite a mainstream documentary, actually.
All
It's
stars,
very.
all planets.
It'll be everywhere if you look
through
And
electromagnetic
as people know, as people already know, anything that they push in the mainstream
It looks like a giant spider
is
web
all
throughout
controlled
the
opposition.
cosmos.
So this one was
When
pushed very
a
hard,
nuclear
and
explosion
it's.
occurs,
I think it came out in
sends a feedback
2018.
through this cosmic web. This is a problem because these extraterrestrials not only communicate through this cosmic web, but they actually travel through it from star to star. Therefore,
Travel
when
through the cosmic
we
web.
detonated
Do they travel through the
it's not a
vacuum
single
of
thing.
space?
Not only are we at a certain level of advancement, but we're not at a certain level of advancement spiritually.
Oppenheimer's key quotes revealed that he did not know what the effect of the detonation of the nuclear bomb would be.
Because there's no such thing as a nuclear bomb.
They were unaware as to whether or not this explosion would create a chain reaction that could actually destroy the whole Earth. And yet they proceeded forward because they believed that this weapon was the only way they could end World War II, and thus the ends justified the means.
With how potent and how powerful these technologies can be, we can never expect to be able to handle them if we operate them from a low consciousness. When you raise your individual consciousness, when you actually make the effort to become more aware of an individual, that has a mirrored effect to society. It's the law of correspondence, as above, so below. So when you become more conscious of an individual, that makes society itself raise in consciousness. And when each one of us, every single one of us, begins making ourselves more aware, society itself is going to become more aware.
Multiple insiders with credible military
Very good acting from that guy over there. I don't think
that
I don't think that guy's. I saw some of his videos on his YouTube channel. They're quite okay, but it's all the same philosophical riff raff and taff. Oh, this is how it is, and this is what happens, and this is so. It's all so mysterious and magical and mystical that you can't really debate. Like, I mean, when you heard that guy, you'd be like, yeah, that's right. Like, if one person wakes up, everybody wakes up, and everybody gets conscious. I really don't think that's how it is, because in the year 2020, we all woke up. I'm not saying we all. Like maybe about 10% of the people woke up, and so what's up with the 90%? Like, why are they still caught up in that paradigm of stay safe and stay home and wear a mask? 90% of people are still putting their families on ventilators because of some test. Why are they still like, if one person knows about all this scam, why isn't everybody awake to it?
Spacecraft have appeared over nuclear missile installations and have completely powered them down.
First, like to briefly describe the incident that I experienced in March 1967. At that time, I was a first lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, stationed at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana. I was trained and assigned duties as a missile launch officer for the Minuteman I intercontinental ballistic missile. We had operational control over 10 Minuteman nuclear missiles. On the evening of March 24th, 1967, while my commander...
I'm really looking forward to watching this one. Let's check it out. Mind control drones.
Calculate the excited states of an atom. Majority of the staff over at DeepMind, Google's AI division, is actually asking for an end to all military contracts.
What is poised to play an increase in autonomous what? Oh my god, these people, man. They think that they're going to type some words and people are just going to read it and be like, oh wow, it's so cool. Lethal autonomous weapons pledge. What the heck?
OpenAI
should never be delegated to a machine.
Division is actually asking...
You know, it's the thing has really hit the fan, really hit the ceiling, when people have to beg these people that take a pledge and make sure that no robot can like end a human. Like,
for an end to all military contracts. OpenAI's GPT-4o is actually doing a pretty good job of something that we thought we needed specialized AI for.
AI art is so bad, bro. It's so, there's some weird shit. Like, yeah, and they want to put eye everywhere. The one eye symbol. They want to put it everywhere. Like, I have messed around with AI image generation a lot. They love putting all this. Like, there's an 8 number here. And there's the flat earth projection. And with an eye in between. More eyes. Hexagons. Damn, it's
modeling
DNA
basic
support.
Protein structure. Remember, it's just a large language model too. AI is starting to optimize 3D printers to the point where they can pretty much print organs. Oh, and flexible electronics and biosensors. Pretty cool. There's a branch of cybersecurity that focuses on insider threat management. And this author is arguing why it's one of the best ways to think about how to stay safe in the age of AI. There's some theories about why entropy could actually explain gravity, which is, you know what I mean? Sean Caron wrote a piece on why so many smart, highly...
Why? Oh my god. I think they figured it out, bro. I think they figured it out that I'm watching some conspiracy things that I'm not supposed to watch, or I'm commenting. So they just like messed up my browser right now. I'm just going to like, they just messed up my browser. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Man, you people are...
highly intelligent people are
You people are disgusting, bro.
It's like a little sobering. All right, so let's start with these mind-controlled drones. I mean, there are a lot of headbands that listen
They really messed up my browser, man.
They have patterns, there's electricity that goes through them, and it can be detected from outside the skull. And I guess it makes sense that you could start to focus on what you want out of a system like this, and it could control a drone. Of course, you could be much more accurate with something like Neuralink. We only have a couple patients with that installed, but I could imagine how that could be tied into the future of drone flying also. But just think about what kind of a world that is. You slip on your headband, or maybe you have Neuralink installed, and then just like Magneto or something, or Jean Grey, you just lift up the drone and you bring it towards you. Maybe you put like a drink on it or something and then send it to your kitchen. So what you're looking at here took place at the University of South Florida, and it is a brain-controlled drone, and it can fly without a controller. Look at that woman just looking at her drone, just pop, boom, drop into my hand like that. That's crazy. EEG.
Be honest, guys. Do you really think that this is cool? I mean, mind controlling some machine. Why can't you just control it with your fingers? Like, why do you want brain control? Why do you want to always attach something to your brain. Oh, so you just like what? So what? Do you think that it's something to play around and toy around with? Like, I know you're just thinking about something. I, w- I want to see a guy do this and somebody monitoring a guy's thoughts, like what input are his thoughts giving. It's all going to be like, you know what, it's going to be all the crap that you see drawn on like school benches or like in some public toilets. That's all that's going to show up in the report when they monitor a guy wearing this headband thing to think about things, and when his thoughts are inputting on the screen, the dirty doodles and whatever the shit that you see written, like all the obscenities drawn around, all the vandal. You go to Paris and you go take their subway, and you go to all the street. You take a subway, and when you're like traveling through it, you'll see the whole place is just vandalized beyond recognition. That's what's going to come on the report when a guy is wearing that headband.
G-powered? I mean, the Neuralink powering the Optimus robot is pretty wild, but there's something about drones where you could just lift them up and like bring them to you that seems especially like powerful. So you don't need a chip in your head to control machines, good to know. But that they do that for the other goal? Oh, so they can control your brain.
Yeah, this guy thinks it's so ridiculous, right? Ha ha ha. Yeah, they can control you. Oh, it's so ridiculous. He can't even comprehend the possibility that they might be actually using this technology, where somebody has actually raised a quite a interesting concern that if you don't need a chip inside your brain and you can just control it from like a topical headband or like even some wave frequencies. And this guy finds it too ridiculous. It's too ridiculous for him to believe that these people who withhold technology, who like literally disappear people for discovering new technologies, these people, he thinks that they're, no, come on, why would they already be doing that? They who release technology from us for us after like 30 years, when they already have it and have already been making use of it. This has already been admitted. I'm sure I can find that report somewhere, some declassified documents and all that. Let's see what else is Dylan curious thinking about.
Got it. Okay. You know, if that's, I don't know if that's the goal, but I get it. Just wait
Yeah,
till the human
you get it, bro. You get it. You know, you get it. Makes sense.
hand loses its job. Asterisk, hopefully not. Sorry, man, you're on thin ice. Hand. It does require focus, so not everybody is capable. That's true. Maybe that'll be our downfall. We literally can't focus and control our drones.
Yeah, because they'll be thinking about all the obscene doodles that that guys think about.
Everybody's just flying it, and then ADD crash. So Joey Bissinger is covering what was semi-viral AI ad coming out of McDonald's in Japan.
Shall we? I mean, oh god.
It's okay for a cartoon.
Oh.
Ugh.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
I think that's just propaganda, man. I don't think any Japanese network has aired this ad anywhere, and it's just propaganda, like for like to they like to make fun of them. They're always putting these kind of weird characters in their whatever they produce in their mass media.
Yo, ain't no way. Did you see that? I love potato, or I love potato.
See, Dylan Curious is reacting to this guy reacting to video, and I'm reacting to Dylan Curious's video of him reacting to this guy reacting to this video.
Potatoes. But then watch what they do with the eye. AI loves potatoes now, apparently, guys.
Okay, so I'm not so sure why everybody's hating on that, commercial. I mean, look, they credit it being AI. Like, they're not pretending that it was people. It has a unique look to it. I've been watching a lot of AI video stuff recently because it's kind of mesmerizing the way that it works. And
AI as well? Like, these kind of look real, I guess, but I guess the whole video is oh god, we haven't even seen the end of this. What's this end part here? Oh, did you see that movement? Oh, it's so robotic, bro. Oh,
What?
they didn't even have to credit the AI. You know, when you look at this, you're like, yeah, you don't have to tell me, dog. That's AI, and it's gross and weird. Can we stop it? There are a lot of cute Japanese models out there, so why McDonald's could
Didn't he say Chinese? No, or did he say Japanese? Before? No.
throw just like a little bit of money out of the infinite wealth of money that they probably have as a giga corporation to just make like a real advertisement with real girls.
okay, so I get it. Like, McDonald's has the money to hire real people. So is that their responsibility? I mean, is that what we say? Like, because AI can generate these things so cheaply and they're very human, just to keep jobs
If I was a company with the power of AI, I would never hire a real human being ever for any job whatsoever.
around? Maybe we should support people and say companies like McDonald's can't use AI or something, but free market pressures are just going to go towards the cheapest, most engaging form of media. I mean, I wish we didn't have TikTok also, just making us stupider, but like, look, that got attention and it's fine, and it's just how the world works. At least McDonald's didn't hide the fact that it was AI. They do have the money to hire real models, but I don't know if that's their responsibility, because it's a free market and they're trying to save costs. Okay, you might be sick of my whole jetpack thing, because like I just started thinking about how cool they are and how we'll probably actually have them in our lifetime.
Yeah, when is it a corporation's responsibility to hire real human
algorithm
beings?
was like, hey, have you seen this robot? And I was like, no, I haven't. And this thing has the coolest jetpack ever. The Iron Cube 3 sneak peek experimental area and preliminary validation. Kaboom! Iron Man on the way. I mean, imagine if you need a few robots to like help you out in your house. You just open your back door, 4 or 5 of them land in your backyard and just like walk in and start helping you. And they can just jetpack away when they're done helping you, you know, make dinner or feed the kids or whatever it is that you need help with. Sure, it could go wrong, but maybe we'll use it for good things. All right, text to 3D has always been kind of wonky, but it's getting better and better. And I think that we have a new best model, at least a best model that's not just in the research phase that people can play with at Meshy.ai. The Meshy 4 model has shown up. So we're inside Meshy AI.
Oh, I'm gonna take advantage of all of
We're
this.
going to go with realistic style and generate a cute bumblebee with a Viking helmet. Viking helmet. Okay, so this is definitely looking better than what I had the last time with Meshy 3. I guess this one using what I think is a leaf as a shield looks the best. Although this one with a little... Actually, this one. Let's try this one. Okay, so yeah, like he's got his Viking shield, his Viking horns. Is he a bumblebee? There's the wings. Another one. I don't think I like it as much. I think we'll go with this one. So now I'm going to use a few more credits to give it some texture. We're going to come back to that. Okay, so let's check out their demo video. Every model in this video generated with Meshy 4, image to 3D, and text to 3D. All right, looking like a very scary textured group of enemies there in some video game. You're like going through a video game super quickly. You don't have the kind of team that can go in there and perfect these things. It's incredible. Yeah, just for a YouTube
Exactly.
video,
Yeah, that's
if
true.
I just said, give me these statues, these Greek statues, give me a little goblin, like just so I could, you know, put them on this little thing here, interact with it in a really
That's
fun,
it,
creative
guys.
way. Okay, so here's our fully textured bumblebee that's cute with Viking helmet. Look, I'm telling you, this is actually impressive compared
It is.
to everything that I've seen so far. You know, it's not maybe I could have used some prompting like Pixar. Like, I'm not loving the cheeks and the eyes in the way that I've seen some really cute bumblebees through image generation. However, this is smooth. It doesn't look really awkward and weird when like the wings change into the kind of fur, the kind of fuzziness that you see on bumblebees. It really did put a helmet on it correctly. The shield is on the arm kind of right. I would say Meshy 4 is
Has anybody ever tried modeling anything in a 3D software?
prototyping tool.
It's such a boring thing to do, man. It'll kill all the creativity you ever had.
Really unique just experience that you want to get off the ground. This is great. I mean,
Yeah,
and,
exactly. It is
a couple
great.
more generations of it, and I think it will be
If you've
exactly
ever
what people pay
if you've
3D
ever
artists
created anything in a 3D software, you know how much time it takes, and your eyes, you see these dark circles,
silver
bro.
treasure chest with a dragon
Oh, you
head
see
decoration.
that's what happens when you're like modeling each and every character and polygon and fixing some cloth
Highly detailed
piece that is, you know, clipping through his body. It's so it drains everything that you ever have reserved for your creative juices are just dissolved.
That are actually just in the uncanny valley. There's something about it.
What is
that's
this?
Like, whoa, this is the future. All right, so what do you guys think about this robot, this little group of robot ladies here being shown off in Beijing?
I want to get away from them, man. I want real humans.
It's fake. I know it looks a little bit real, and it took me a second also, but if you look close, those are people dressed up in suits.
Yes,
At least I'm
I
like
knew it.
90%, 99% sure. Honestly, I was buying it a little bit at this
Yep.
point, but I'll show you where I actually think I see the truth. Okay, so when she's walking, look at her hip right here. Do you see that? You see that wrinkle that keeps showing up? Like, that seems like real skin and muscle folding.
Man, why would these people want to do all
Clue
this,
was here
bro?
in the neck.
And her eyes look very real, like a human's.
I think there's something about that neck that just doesn't feel like it's a robot with fake plastic skin or whatever folding up. It feels like real skin.
What is that? This entire thing is a setup. Like, this person is an actor.
And the knee and the walking gait and stuff, it's just too good. I mean, I would need to see more video of it actually, like,
So the whole thing is a setup.
if that was a robot. I think it's just girls. And I know it's trending on Twitter as robot conference beats Optimus or whatever, but it's just, they're just people. They're just girls. All right, here's something real. Published in Science, one of the premier journals, real research, real breakthroughs, accurate computation of quantum excited states with neural networks. Okay, so to understand how artificial intelligence made a breakthrough, you first have to understand what it is when an atom is in an excited state or not. So excited states refer to the condition of an atom, a molecule, or any other kind of quantum system
How do they know all
when it
this?
has absorbed energy and it's in a higher energy state.
What
than its
energy?
most stable, grounded state. Okay? So in this case,
Wait a minute. He just like, okay. He's like, okay, a bunch of words, energy, and this state and that state. So, okay, fine. Okay, let's see.
it's usually like in the atom, when the proton and neutron are like in the middle, the
What?
electrons are starting to get further away than they want to be.
You don't know any of that, bro. They also don't know any of that.
They're using extra energy to be kind of in an unnatural state. They want to get grounded and go back to their like default distance. Of course, it's all quantum mechanical, so it's like probability based, but there's still a average tendency of where it should be. All right, now, and systems that have too much
Average
energy will
tendency to where it should be. It's all guesswork. It's all neural network, flexible wave function. Okay, so from a purely software perspective, this is possible. When you're coding shit in a model, when you're designing things inside a computer virtual world kind of thing, all of that makes total sense, okay? But when they they start talking about the electrons and protons and atoms and this, it's total nonsense. The neural network inside a software can totally like work according to what they're saying, but you can't just talk about like physical reality and say that these things are the same. Like, no, it's different.
grounded, and then that means they'll shoot off an electron, so they usually generate light or maybe radiation. And we don't know a lot about that. It's very hard to study, and artificial intelligence is helping us understand when things are in the wrong state, the excited state, and when they're grounded. And when we can make predictions like that, it leads to things like fluorescence, photochemistry, and the operation of lasers, all sorts of real-world utility. So
Well, you're telling me they didn't know how optical like lines and lasers work in reality, and they need AI to tell them exactly how things are going on. Like, come on.
Using AI, based on the work that came out of this paper, we can now accurately calculate excited states in quantum systems using a neural network, specially tuned neural network information. Now have this method, it's called NES-VMC, and it turns the complex problem of finding excited states into a simpler task by treating it like a grounded state problem. And the researchers are able to get highly accurate results on various molecules, including tricky ones like benzene. I guess that's a really hard one to know if it's in an excited state or not. But this approach is more accurate than any other previous method, and it can be used in all sorts of interesting ways. Very cool data set, very cool model that neural networks has made, and it's solving like a real world problem here. So yeah, AI might just transform the future of lasers. All right, so Demis Hassabis, in charge of Google's DeepMind division, is dealing with kind of an issue right now. Nearly 200 of the DeepMind staffers, and I consider these guys the best in the world. I mean, it's arguable, but they've over time, at least over the last decade, they've really pioneered so much of the modern world in terms of AI. And they're pretty upset that some of their technology is being used for military purposes. So Google DeepMind staff is calling for an end to military contracts. An open letter.
Google DeepMind's to end to military contracts. They're laughing at in your face, bro. Everybody, these military contracts, the government and the military industrial, they're laughing at your face. This is just a whitewashing article so that Google is, and the staff, the DeepMind staff is let off the hook because, yeah, there's just the military and the government's just gonna laugh at your face. Ha 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 ha. Open letter. Ha 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 ha.
Has the support of nearly 200 of them. And in particular, they highlight Google's defense contract with the Israeli military known as Project Nimbus. Even though it is talking more broadly about a lot of things, that's one of the focuses. And how the Israeli weapons firms are mandated by the government to purchase cloud services from Google and Amazon. So obviously Google is a really big company, and the
They're
cloud
laughing in
division
your
is selling
face,
AI
man.
services to military.
They're laughing in your
But at
face.
Google I/O's conference this year, pro-Palestine protesters chained together at the attendance entrance. And The Verge was talking about how I guess at Google I/O this year, the big conference where Google launched all that AI stuff, I mean, I covered all of that. And I didn't know that there were pro-Palestine protesters chained together at the attendee entrance protesting Project Lavender. So it's tricky because Google made a specific commitment when it acquired DeepMind in 2014 that the lab's leader required for that acquisition that their AI technology would never be used for military or surveillance purposes. But of course, now that division has been absorbed because OpenAI was like kicking their butt with ChatGPT, and they needed to combine resources and get all their AI talent focused on actual products, not just research. But the cloud division was already doing all the military stuff, so yeah, that's a tricky one. I mean, it sucks when you sign up for something like that, but the world changes, the companies merge, the divisions that didn't have any authority to promise something like that are now intimately intertwined with where your technology is being used, and that's a tough one. That's going to be a really tough one. I struggle a lot with where AI and military should be too, as I don't really want the country to fall behind. I understand the
You think they care about what you want or what you think should happen and shouldn't happen? Like, I mean, you are a very well-intentioned person. You're a very decent person, I can figure that out. But bro, everybody is like that. But do you think that they're going to listen or care about what you think should be and what the DeepMind staff open letter says?
Competitive landscape and how bad it is. This stuff is so risky. And look, for me, fundamentally, the biggest risk that we face is it's a human problem first. Like, there's a lot of technical problems about having a super intelligence on the planet, but it's more about getting the core of it wrong because the incentives were wrong because we as humans weren't aligned in what we wanted that really makes it seem high risk to me. Anyhow, let's go back to GPT-4. There was an open...
How nice of him. He said we as humans. The people that control us are not humans, bro.
AI surprise when scientists realized that it has the ability to model basic protein structures. Now, of course, AlphaFold, the big AI project that came out of Google's DeepMind, is the king of protein folding. AlphaFold 3 is actually something that considers the protein folding problem solved. Amino acids go into this, the protein structure comes out high enough accuracy that it's actually useful for all the problems that it needs to be. Now, the next big step is learning more about the human body and how the things fit together, but the protein folding is something that we thought we needed specialized models for. In fact, Meta went about the same problem, and they were able to not achieve the same level of success as AlphaFold 3, but they could do similar and with much less computation, and that was a big step forward. But now to find out that actually just GPT-4, a straight up large language model that doesn't even have any 3D geometrical information, can also do a pretty good job at it is surprising. So, study at Rutgers University shows that GPT-4 can model simple amino acid and protein structures with unexpected precision. Now, I almost want to call this an emergent property because the model didn't, it wasn't really trained on this. It's like when the model would pick up on languages that weren't in the training data. It's just shocking sometimes. But GPT-4 accurately modeled the atomic composition, bond lengths, and angles of the 20 standard amino acids. And its precision of the alpha helix structure was comparable to experimentally determined structures. So it was, it figured out the shape. It also correctly identified the amino acids.
This is quite interesting, man.
Distances between the interacting atoms in the
Oh, wait a minute.
SARS-CoV-2 main.
Until this, yeah, exactly. Until this said this. It also let's check check it out. Okay, it also correctly identified the amino acids in between interacting atoms. Here we go again. In the binding of an antiviral drug to the SARS main protease. What the F is all this about, man? This main protease enzyme. It's an antiviral drug. Identify. Oh man, this is they're just going to propagate everything that they want to. They're going to propagate anything that agrees with their narrative of this virus, and they're calling it the main protease enzyme. Wait a minute. Why don't people stop for a second and ask themselves here? What do they even mean by a protease enzyme? Why don't they pause for a second and think they're calling it the SARS-CoV-2 main protease enzyme? Aren't people encouraged to eat enzymes? What is an enzyme? Do they even know what an enzyme is? Do they really know what an enzyme is? And the second question is, which should be the first question, do they even know what a virus is? Anyway,
protein.
Before I get banned with 13 subscribers and 0 views on this video.
Enzyme. Yeah, so still rudimentary compared to dedicated AI tools like AlphaFold 3, but still, that's pretty interesting. And its emergence with being unexpected is even more interesting.
So the whole point of doing the whole... Their entire point of doing this exercise about writing articles and claiming that some king of folding AI company, some company who's the king of protein folding using AI, came up with some unbelievable, shocking discovery about the capabilities of GPT-4s. This is now GPT, you can say that GPT is an abbreviation of government propagation tool or something, propaganda tool. That's all that's going to be It's just going to be a government propaganda propagating tool. And most importantly here, to promote drug usage. They're just going to keep promoting, and they're going to feed this in the AI, okay? The so-called AI, they're going to feed it inside their databases and where the training database, yeah? the AI is going to be fed into the training data set to propagate their nonsense and the same narrative. And then the AI, when it gets all the statutory powers and the authority to write laws for your life, and they'll say it's for your own good, the AI knows everything, the AI is the god of everything, that's when they're going to take away all your rights and like tell you just listen to the AI because the AI knows everything. And the AI is shockingly, unbelievably good at predicting all of this nonsense. So yeah, just keep on listening to the AI, in which they have put their own training data filled with nonsense fairy tales and unproven, debunked experiments and guesswork and false paradigms.
Enzyme. Yeah, so still
All to sell
rudimentary
drugs,
dedicated
guys.
AI tools like AlphaFold 3, but still, that's pretty interesting. And its emergence with being unexpected is even more interesting. Who knows what else we're going to see emerge. All right, let's talk about self-improving AI methods, increasing 3D printing efficiency. But okay, so there's always been sort of a coarseness to 3D printers, and AI is now starting to kind of offset the shake, the precision, and all of the little things that just make it kind of imperfect sometimes. And now, smaller and smaller to the point where all of a sudden it opens up all sorts of new things that can be 3D printed. When you get as intricate as this 3D printer with this AI algorithm helping to offset all of the little real world problems, you can now start to think about actually designing artificial organs, because you're down there at like the cellular level, flexible electronics, and the algorithm that
This is one of the most interesting things that I want to see progress. I want to see them actually make artificial organs and limbs and make a successful organ transplant. That's something that I would like to really see.
actually did this is fascinating because it's a Bayesian optimization algorithm that is tuned, that's fine-tuned with AI taking the 3D printing settings and making those decisions for it in this Bayesian loop. So it's kind of in this like self-perpetuating cycle where it helps produce increasingly accurate and optimized models the more that it prints, and those of kidneys and prostates are now within reach. And this Bayesian optimization algorithm for 3D settings is actually so versatile that if we get not just traditional 3D printers, but the kind of places where you can print biomedical devices, now we can have the precision to do minimal adjustments on extremely small, biomedical devices. And it was all funded by the National Science Foundation, so it's going to be open source.
Okay, when it's going to be funded by the National Science Foundation, they're going to make sure that none of it actually helps anybody. Like, it's all like, they're just going to make sure that you're going to be dependent on them. Maybe, yeah, okay. You have like a faulty organ, they're going to replace it, and then they're going to make sure that you are on their system hooked for life. And then maybe something will malfunction, or oh, you have to pay more, to get this, you have to pay more. Oh, you just have to like obey and sit in one place, sit quietly, just live your pathetic life as a human useless eater while the robots take care of everything else. They like, you just have to sit, and there'll be probably a saline, like a plug here that is going to feed you some insect-based protein that will sustain your life for like maybe a few decades. And yeah, like in the Matrix, where they're just incubating and growing humans. That's what's going to be, man, very soon. Probably in 2 decades.
Research foundations can use it, and yeah, it's just kind of cool. All right, so I'm always excited to cover anything that comes up on lesswrong.com, because this is where some really thoughtful, interesting, mostly doomers. It's like Eliezer Yudkowsky's
Oh, this is what I want to hear about doomers.
child, but I'm sort of a fan of him. I think a lot of what he says makes a ton of sense, and I wish people take it more serious. But I know David Shapiro and like those guys don't they think he's kind of overblown, and I get that. I get where they're coming from. I just tend to think that what he says aligns a little bit more with my worldview. So this article called Fields that I reference when I'm thinking about AI takeover prevention, written by Buck Schlesinger, if you want to see the original. And he sees insider threat mitigation as the most relevant analogy to AI control because it involves the same kind of problems that companies deal with now. Like they have to balance giving employees enough access to be productive with the risk of them abusing that access. And we're going to have AI systems that we could just get them full access to their code, right? And they can just rewrite their own code, and then it might spiral out of control as it gets smarter and smarter and smarter. Or maybe we could have sort of a hierarchy where there's some code that they can access, but somehow there's like a bottleneck where first it stops and some other systems that are not aligned with that system check it, or maybe humans come in at different points. So it's like a very similar problem to how you would build a company in a way that like espionage wouldn't be able to get to all of it, or certain people don't have full control over the entire system. Like there probably shouldn't be anybody at OpenAI that could just download the weights of the entire model and put it on a USB stick. Like probably nobody should have that access. Maybe even Sam Altman shouldn't. Maybe it should always take multiple people in certain ways to see that or understand that, or why maybe they don't need that. Like why would anybody in the whole system actually just need to download the weights at one point? So the article will go into more detail about this, but some of the higher level concepts are the ability to closely monitor the AI, the way you might want to monitor some of your employees. You want to be able to restrict access instantly. You might want triggers that would naturally restrict access, and if they're wrong, no big deal. You just pause for a minute and check it out, then regain access, but if it helps. There should be ways to quickly adjust workflows. And then after kind of laying out a lot of those plans that might be helpful, you have to also acknowledge that AI is a different...
Guys, they everywhere they want to show the one eye, bro. How obsessed can you be with the one eye? I know it's AI, like eye. Like, come on, the one eye everywhere. It's like they're telling us Big Brother's watching you, and it's ultimately going to be AI. I mean, even the table here has, oh my god, the computer screen everywhere is just AI, AI cloud, iCloud, one iCloud. One eye symbolism, bro. It's on the US dollar bill, behind the US dollar bill, man.
Different beast. It's actually not real people, so it's
And this is like PBS.
not truly threat mitigation. And AI can be systematically duplicitous, meaning they can have like two different versions of itself, and that can be much harder to predict than a human insider. And he goes on to critique the current methods that companies like DeepMind and OpenAI are using for insider threat mitigation anyways. They lack systematic approaches to evaluating the sufficiency of the mitigations. Like, how do you, like, who's in charge of writing them in the first place? And then how is that person or that system monitored? Why did it make those decisions in the first place? So you need, like, kind of eyes watching the eyes that watch the eyes, and you need a little bit of a stack, and those interests need to be separated. Instead of what usually you find when you go into one of these places that say they're secure, then they're just relying more on checklists and common sense instead of rigorous analysis. All right, Prim J, tell me about how entropy could explain gravity. We'll go off into space now for some interesting stuff. I love entropy. It's just such a wild concept, and I think it does the best job explaining my experience of time, and I think it seems like one of the most universal things that the physics of our world has. It seems like it's a good way to explain the Big Bang and the world that we see around us,
The Big Bang.
universe, as well as just
Yeah, just
practical
take it, whatever fairy tale, fantasy tales that they tell you, just believe it.
you dump cream in coffee and it spreads out. Like, why don't you ever see it go the other way?
It's so amazing. It explains the Big Bang.
Gravity. Could it help explain why when I drop a tennis ball it falls to the ground? If somebody could relate the two in a reasonable way, it would break science.
Yeah, this guy needs a AI program to explain gravity to him because he bought into the false paradigm and propaganda. It's not his fault. Everybody's been taught that, force fed into your brain. If you don't memorize and regurgitate it, you will be a failure. You won't pass the stages. You won't clear the levels if you don't regurgitate and memorize this propaganda. And that's how their life becomes, the entire life all becomes about validating and justifying the propaganda that they learned in school, because that propaganda helped them clear an arbitrary nonsense test.
Science. But what if, as proposed by Eric Melindy's paper, we could shake up our understanding of gravity by thinking of it not as a fundamental force, but as an emergent phenomenon?
As an imaginary
similar
force.
to how thermodynamics entropy, the increasing chaos of the universe works. So to put this together, you have to build on the holographic principle first.
These so-called scientists still don't know what gravity is. It's hilarious, man.
Can be described by data on its boundary. That's the thought that if you look up at the background radiation that surrounds
It's unbelievably hilarious.
tennis ball and you look up at the edges of it, all of that information is actually the information that creates the 3D part that you feel like you're a part of. So everything.
They still don't know what gravity is, yet they want to believe that they are on a spinning ball because of gravity.
Holes, they get spread out, and all of their 3D description is there, but it's in a 2D design. In the same way that a computer can have like a 2D memory array, but you can see a 3D object and it just turns when you move your mouse, so you can see all 3D of it, but it's still technically 2D. And then we assume that what feels
So
like
ChatGPT is basically a 2D program, like it's two-dimensional only.
Of microscopic degrees of freedom, and that's what creates the 3D world instead of actually being an intrinsic force. And maybe that's what generates the illusion of gravity. Would that be the right way to put it? Rather than the intrinsic.
Yeah, it's an illusion of gravity propagated by.
Phenomenon that we only feel at this scale because we're interacting with it, so it feels like something. It's gravity, but it's
All
not
this AI art has some disturbing. It's like it's using some kind of paste. Look at that, like yeah, oil painting, correct, but it's got some weird.
It's fun to think about this stuff. These guys seem like they're smart enough to put math to all of this kind of conceptual stuff, so maybe there is a real grounding in it. Verlindy's theory, this one that we're talking about right now, actually even derives Newton's law of gravity and Einstein's field equation from these principles. That sounds a whole lot like a unifying principle to me. Like that sounds like the grand principle everybody like says they're sought after, or are sought after. Anyway, but this kind of work hints at a new way to think about gravity's potential, explaining phenomenons like dark matter without invoking unseen particles. Tons of skeptics.
How much do they want to propagate this, man? How much are they taking efforts for AI to propagate the same nonsense, the same unproven theories? And I really don't get it. Like, there are much better things to figure out, like much more useful things, like things that are grounded in reality, right? You can't just keep using AI to just push the same nonsense, especially that nonsense which is not proven and you don't know what it is. You don't know dark matter, you don't know space-time bending, gravity. It's a pseudo-Romanian space-time force. Like, they literally write it in the first paper that it's a pseudo force. It's pseudo. You know what PSEUDO means? You know what pseudoscience means? Why are they using AI to propagate pseudoscience?
Skepticism with this. Hard to do some tests on it, so there's not a lot of experimental evidence. It's more just mathematical, and it needs a ton of refinement and a bunch more people to think about it and look into it. But maybe it is time to start thinking, as it says here in the article, to envision space as a storage medium for information, with the information being encoded on the surface, and gravity as an entropic force.
Still, here. Did you see a good reaction, bro?
And gravity as an
core of gravity is an entropic force. There's a statistical tendency for the system to move towards a state of higher entropy. Arises in systems where there is a statistical tendency in systems. Which system? Is it the system that we live here? Is it the Earth system? Is it the solar system? Is it the what system? Is it a system in your computer? Is it a virtual reality model that you just built around some nonsense guesswork and theories? And which tends to, let's check this out, which tends to return to a coiled state. which tends to okay, so move towards the state of higher entropy. Higher entropy. What do you guys think when you hear that? When you hear the words a state of higher entropy? Oh, it's the state of like your higher consciousness. Yeah, they purposely use this religious spiritual kind of language, okay? And okay, return to a coiled state. What the which coiled state? Have you heard about the coiled serpent resting at the base of your spine? It's it returns to the coiled state. The base of your spine is the 33rd column of your spinal vertebrae, where the coiled snake rests for 2.5 when Jesus was crucified for at the cross at the base of his 33rd year. And that's how he returned to a coiled state in the grave. And the Kundalini coiled serpent raises up when the 2.5 days of new moon are over. And when the moon starts filling up, it starts getting uncoiled and starts rising up into the higher state of entropy and then goes back to its coiled state, because such a configuration maximizes the entropy of the system. Dude, how much, man?
An entropic force. Whoa. Oh, by the
Whoa.
way, this is the actual paper that was referenced on the origin of gravity and Newton's laws. Maybe we should look at this for a minute, too. I usually like to save the archive papers until the research section of the videos, but like, heck, why not? Let's just do it early in this video. Make an exception. Rules are meant to be broken. Okay, so a little over my head, but here we have an image with a free-jointed polymer immersed in a heat bath with temperature T that pulls out of its equilibrium state an external force F. The entropic force points the other way. So is that the force of gravity coming out of that?
Oh my god. Get over it, bro. Get over it.
Verlinde argues that gravity arises due to changes in
Yeah, keep arguing, man.
with the positions of material bodies aligning with the principles of thermodynamics. But if you
What?
apply the holographic principle, which implies that we're living in something that has lower
Wow.
dimensions than it feels like.
Their state of brainwashing and eating a propaganda has reached such a level. The propaganda eating level is so high that they just blindly now believe that we are living in a holographic simulation. Like, as just like everybody believes that, including Elon Musk, probably Mark Zuckerberg, everybody, like probably Bill Gates also believes that, like, and Klaus Schwab from the WEF, they also believe that we are all in a hologram. It's, yeah, but they cannot fathom the idea of this hologram consisting of a earth that is level and stationary. They can't conceive of that, but they want to believe that the hologram involves, balls flying in a space vacuum supported by gravity. Yeah, that's how, yeah. And oh, but that's how it is. No, 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 no. That's exactly how it is. That's what they want to believe. And they'll use AI to propagate the same shit. They'll propagate the same BS using AI now, which has the potential to like literally solve each and every problem in the world, but they want to sit propagating. His video is becoming literally half, since like most of his videos becoming this now.
Maybe 2 dimensions, not 3, because it's all just being projected like a hologram. Then that mathematics, you can derive Newton's law of gravity.
Mathematics.
Like, is that what explains infinity? That we're like
Oh,
thinking about it in 3 dimensions,
explain.
but it's only 2 dimensions? Ooh, here's what the research paper looks like when
Explanations.
it's turned into an image. It's got that apple falling into kind of a black
Oh
hole-y
my
looking thing. That's cool.
god.
Alright, if you want to nerd out
Everything has to be
I feel
biblical,
like on the
right?
origin of gravity and the laws of Newton, maybe you understand that kind of super higher level math, and you could tell me in the comment section if you think it's legit or not, or if you found errors in it. And if you are smart enough to understand that math and leave a comment on my website, I hate to say it, but you might be one of the many highly intelligent people who are also unhappy.
He probably is sponsored by some mental health therapy company just selling some drugs or some online therapist or something.
Look, don't kill the messenger. Like, I'm not trying to be a doom channel. I'm just like, look, there's a fact. Like, people that are really smart tend to have more things to worry about because they can see the future in a weird way better and can worry about more things. That's it. It's still a
No,
superpower.
bro,
It's
we're
still
not
a
worried
healthy
about
thing to be
anything.
smart. But let's talk
We like laughing at people.
about what Sean Kernan wrote on Medium and why his subtitle is Reversing the Link Between Intellectual Excitability and Unhappiness. So he uses the anecdotal example of N1, Jeff, his uncle, who is the most achievement-oriented person you could have ever met. Valedictorian at his high school, went on to Princeton, top neurosurgeon, brilliant steel trap memory, and also fairly miserable. Never settled down with a family, consumed with his work, and died at the age of 50 from a heart attack. And even though it feels, and we're going to talk about some of the math and science behind this, we're going to look at the data because, like he says, it feels cliche to even say that intelligent people are less happy, but there's some truth to it. Even though achievement and elevated income can generally help you in the realm of happiness to an extent. So we gotta
Why are they trying to
pick apart
generalize all of this?
those tied together knots. The same capacity
Everybody is different. Everybody's case is different.
20 moves into the future can also allow them to see the problems and
And what does he mean by intelligent people? Does he mean just people who can regurgitate propaganda?
potential disasters in everyday life. But the piece does explore some of the positive sides too, so even though intelligent people often do struggle with anxiety and depression, it's not like all of them do. There's plenty of smart people that also live really positive, happy lives by their self-analysis. What they're doing different is a little bit subjective, but there is some in the data suggestions that cultivating hobbies, avoiding a scarcity mindset, and prioritizing the relationships in your life will often help mitigate the challenges that come with being hyper intelligent, and thus leading to a more fulfilling life. Like, do you have any anecdotes of people in your life that are super hyper intelligent and also very happy? Because if so, I would love to hear what you think the reasoning behind that would be. Like, does it seem like they're working on the kind of intelligent projects that make the world better and that does it, or is it about the way that they still balance their family life? If they're really into a hobby, what is the hobby? Maybe there's some like insight there we can
They're all just worried about making more money.
glean like as a community in the comment section. What do you think, Grimlock? Any thoughts on happiness?
Grimlock love this time of year.
Visited from an entropy perspective. Look, we've already been talking, a lot about entropy in this one, so I was like, let's that surprisingly comes up in my life a lot. Like, I'm like, should I go to a party, which is kind of like exploring new people, or is it like I already have these great people in my life already? Should I just hang out with them and see what's going on, or build something with them? It's like, it's not.
Bro, you're getting old. Like, the time for you to make new friends is slipping away. You need to make use of that until, like, you're probably 35, or when you reach 40 and then you're going to a new place or a club to socialize and make new friends. Nah, bro. No. Well, you need to wrap that up before 35, man. You need to wrap it up.
Exploitation is the word you technically use, but it's also just kind of like, should I use the resources I have, or is it time to like go look for better resources? The one-armed bandit problems, yeah. Like, you would imagine these kind of fictional slot machines, and if you had 6 or 7 of them in a row, and they had different payouts, and you weren't really sure what their payouts were, how often should you pull one slot to find out if it pays off and then measure that? Because on average, of course, if you did millions of pulls on all of them, you would like hone in on the exact average and you would know which ones paid out really well. But you also, if you only have so many pulls, you might want to start thinking about switching to a new machine. If you do 3 pulls on the first one and they're all dead, like, maybe the odds of winning on this slot machine are really, really low. Like, they could be high and you just got unlucky for 3, but at that point, you might want to make a decision to move on and explore. Like, you might want to go explore something, but if you do 3 pulls on that and they all pay off, maybe you should keep exploiting it. Like, maybe that's a high-paying machine, even though you've only had 3 pulls, which statistically isn't enough to tell you much, but factually, if you've only had 6 poles and this one had 3 negatives, that had 3 positives, then that's probably a good machine. So this paper is revisiting that exploration exploitation dilemma in reinforcement learning, and it's focusing on how to balance the two aspects efficiently, and it's using artificial intelligence to kind of help with that. So they propose this new framework. It's called ADA0, and it helps adapt in dynamically changing environments to balance between exploration and exploitation dynamically. But here's the crazy part. Remember how it has entropy in the title? It's actually using entropy. It's a measure of disorder that it's using as its guiding metric. Laws of thermodynamics are being applied, entropy is being applied, and that's what makes ADA0 evaluate agents' current state and then adjust to the level of exploration or exploitation accordingly.
Okay.
And when it does this,
I think I'm gonna end this video over here. It's getting a little boring, and I think we covered the whole video. And my OBS is acting up.
It works well even
The frame rate is cutting off. Maybe I should stream at a much lower resolution.
is the framework's ability to automatically
Yeah,
adapt
just
and
make sure my
optimize
system
the
is working
agent's behavior
correctly,
without
man.
requiring
When am I ever going to get the hang of it?
I guess there is an
When am I
evaluation
ever
network
going
that's like
to
a
figure out exactly how to set up my stream correctly, man? Just God help me, bro. Just anyway, I'll see you in a couple of